I'm Stephen Reineke, Music Director of the New York Pops. I'm excited to be here with one of my favorite music collaborators, Judith Clurman. Judith is a renowned Emmy-nominated conductor, vocal educator, and choral specialist. Her sensational ensemble, Essential Voices USA, has joined the New York Pops on many occasions over the past several years. Their commitment to technical excellence and beautiful sound adds so much to our concert. Next, they'll be singing with us at Carnegie Hall on Friday, April the 13th, as we pay tribute to Academy Award-winning songs and scores from Hollywood. Judy, thank you so much for welcoming me into your wonderful home. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So I'm very excited to have you and Essential Voices USA back with the New York Pops again this season. You guys have had a long history with the New York Pops, going back to the Skitch Henderson days. How did this all begin?
I got a telephone call. That's how it always begins. And they needed kids to do a Marvin Hamlish piece, Anatomy of Peace. And at that point, I was conducting a professional chorus, the New York Concert Singers, that had a children's division. And I prepped them for that concert. And we had a great time. Then I was at Juilliard directing choral activities, and Skitch brought in that chorus. It was called the Juilliard Choral Union. And many of those people came with me when I left the school, and they now sing with Essential Voices.
Oh, that's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So I know you're a trained classical musician, and you went to Juilliard.
Yes.
Went through the Juilliard School, and you've done everything from Lincoln Center to Sesame Street. So what I want to ask is, how do you feel your training in classical music has prepared you, or what do you take away when you do more popular styles of music?
I never put music in categories my entire life. My parents raised me by taking me to see every Broadway musical, or I would hear pop music at home, or I would hear classical recordings, and I'm a trained classical pianist. But as a child, before I went to see a musical, I would memorize the entire cast recording, and I would get the sheet music and know every note of the music before I walked in to see the show. And I totally immersed myself in that. I came from a great public school music program, and we did all genres of music. I honestly never put music in a category.
I love that.
Good is good.
Yeah.
There's
Duke
only
Ellington used to say that. Yeah.
Right. There's
and
just good music.
You treat it could be the Brahms Requiem or Brigadoon, and you treat it the same way.
It's the same way. You have to treat rhythm a little differently. You have to see what venue you're performing in. Is the chorus going to be mic'd rather than be acoustic? And you have to take all these things into consideration. But good communication is good communication. And those guys and gals that wrote all of these Broadway musicals really know what they're doing. And again, good is good.
Yeah, I'm going to give you another question here about Essential Voices USA. You guys have your own concert series in addition to the New York Pops.
Right.
You just brought this up a minute ago. What is it like? Do you prepare the chorus differently when you're working in different venues, from Carnegie Hall to, and describe some of the other venues? And also, how is it working with a full orchestra as opposed to some of the more intimate things you do up in the acapella?
Well, first let me say that Essential Voices USA is a very unique, different sort of model that I formed. I love working with my 14 professionals, which are Essential Voices USA, or my 80 voices of my semi-professionals, or 10 kids. And no matter what I'm doing, I'm a taskmaster, and I'm very demanding. I want it really good. And I spend a lot of time on a text. That's the first thing. If you don't get into the heart of the text in the words, it can't happen. Yeah. I've prepped choruses in New York for a very long time. It's a pleasure to come to Carnegie Hall. It's the best acoustic in New York for a big concert hall. If you said to me, you have an ensemble of 8 people, how would you prep it? I wouldn't prep the chorus differently. I mean, it's the same thing. But knowing that a chorus is going to be mic'd, I have to put voices together in a different way. You say about different venues. I love having 8 or 10 people sing. More professional people. They've been in different guises my entire life, and not just as Essential Voices, in many different halls. But I really honestly have to say there is no difference for me. I hear the acoustic in my head. If you're doing Bach as opposed to Stephen Sondheim, You know you have to prep it differently because you have to work much more on the German. You have to discuss the noun, but you have to discuss the nouns and the verbs in German the same way you have to discuss the nouns and the verbs and the word stresses in Stephen Sondheim. I'm now older and I'm not patient if people don't come and don't know their notes.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. But the other side of this is I also love working with kids, and we must educate our future. When I am prepping for you, I make sure I have some public school kids singing with Essential Voices USA all the time.
Yeah, I love that. So you do have some paid professional singers?
No, not in the Carnegie Hall concerts.
No, okay,
not in the Carnegie Hall
those
concerts.
Are volunteers, and then
Right.
you always have high school students and kids joining
Always,
us as well.
always. And I really want them to memorize the music. They must communicate, and you have to have a good time with them.
Oh, I totally.
And if their heads are totally buried in the music, it just won't work.
It must be such a great experience and such a thrill for them. Something they'll take away the rest of their life. Where did
Definitely.
where did you get the idea to do that and to include that?
Well, actually the first time I did this is I invented the Lincoln Center tree lighting. And I used to bring school kids together from private schools and public schools and the underprivileged and the privileged in New York. And I had a composer, classical composer basically, write a new piece, and I would go to the schools and do workshops and then bring them to Lincoln Center for a performance. And I never want to stop doing that because you need to touch kids. It's an important part of who I am.
I'm with you. I agree.
And I know the Pops has a great education program too,
Yeah.
and you work with the public schools. I mean, we really need to do that.
Yeah. We can agree on that for sure.
We agree on most things.
Yes, we do.
I know.
Now, here's something I've been hearing about lately.
Yes?
Funny story that you had something to do with a classic Star Wars parody on Saturday Night Live and singing.
Yes.
So you know we're going to celebrate on April 13th, 80th birthday of John Williams, so we're going to be doing some Star Wars for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, but why don't you tell me what happened with Saturday Night Live and your Star Wars story?
Oh my goodness, I was such a serious musician. I had never watched Saturday Night Live. And one day I got a phone call, and it was from Howard Shore, the music director. I had just graduated from Juilliard in voice. I was trained as a pianist, then I have degrees in singing. And Judith, would you report to Studio 8H at NBC tomorrow? And I said, oh my God, what is this? And I got to the studio, and the next thing I know is I was given a lead sheet by Paul Schaefer, the great Paul Schaefer, who was teaching me the music, and I sight read it fine. And the next thing I knew is I was singing this, ooh, 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 and I walked onto the set, and who was rehearsing? But it was the great Gilda Radner and John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin, and they were all there. It was the classic thing, and you must all watch this segment. It was really great.
Oh my gosh.
It was really, really great. It was a takeoff, and Gilda Radner was the Annette Funicello character, and she was Princess Leia. Because this was Carrie Fisher was Princess Leia.
Fisher, right.
Carrie Fisher was there. Excuse me, Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
I forgot. But they were all there.
Funicello was not.
No.
Carrie
But that
Fisher,
was the Gilda Radner character playing that.
Amazing.
And it was jolly good fun. And the next thing I know is I went home on Saturday night, and I turned on the TV, and they were doing the segment, and there was my voice. Star Wars.
I love it.
Right. Star Wars is brilliant. John Williams is brilliant. And speaking of coming from a more classical background, he comes from a classical background.
He's one of the finest film composers of a generation,
Ever.
without question. So I look forward to celebrating him on April 13th.
Well, I look forward to prepping a chorus for you.
Judy, thanks so much for inviting me into your beautiful home and chatting with me today.
Thank you for coming.
So please join the New York Pops on Friday, April the 13th at Carnegie Hall as we celebrate Academy Award winners with a special 80th birthday tribute to legendary film composer John Williams. I sure hope to see you there.